Now we're recording, Zach. Welcome to my humble abode. Welcome to JPD Studios here in Merrill, Wisconsin.
This place smells
Like-
very strange.
Just smell like children.
Yeah.
Why does it smell like children?
It smells like children and, well, listen, we got a lot of children.
It's Pro Wrestling Off Topic, episode 141. We're here today. The rear end back. What does that mean?
I know you gonna dig this.
Search and destroy you. Run and we'll find you. There's no place to hide. The devils will get you. Pain and destruction are our middle names. Demolition. You better stay.
Where's the pyro? Man, I didn't realize you had some pyro about in the back parking lot.
I did. It's pyro. There's pyro outside.
Wow.
Our friend Jerome is setting him off out there.
Oh,
It's sparklers
yes.
and dynamite.
There he is, good old Shark himself. All
The
right.
Shark has been very impactful this year on the PWOT. He's come back for episode 141 because he wants to
Today-
hear.
About the rear end awards.
He
Now,
wants to hear
I
all
know
about
what you guys are thinking. What are you guys talking about? Are you being lewd? No.
We would never be.
Let
lewd.
you know. I've just came to the conclusion that this would be the best title for our end of the year recognition for the best in wrestling out there, because we're looking at the rear view
Yeah.
of the wrestling year,
Yeah,
right?
man.
And so yeah, we're looking at the rear end of
We're
wrestling.
so excited. We're so excited
The
to bring
rear
this,
end of 2022.
the rear end. We're so excited to bring this to you guys because this is the first time we're ever in the year 2022 going to record video and audio at the same time.
That's right.
That's what we're here to do. So this will be up on YouTube as well as available on Podomatic on our normal streaming RSS feeds. So the rear end rewards.
That's right.
Episode-
You can watch it on YouTube.
141, baby.
41.
Can you believe it? Can you believe we've been here for 141 episodes?
Yes, I very much.
How
can.
many?
It's
How
been
many?
a long time.
How many annual rear end awards have we done?
Never.
Never.
This,
This is the first.
this is the first official.
This is the first one.
official recognition that we've done. I don't know why. You know why, Josh? Because usually this time of year we get to this part of the year and then we both lose interest in wrestling.
That doesn't make any sense though,
Usually.
because January is the hottest month for
You're
wrestling
right.
of
You're
the
right.
year.
And we're going to talk about that.
Maybe we're
in
just
a
so wrapped
couple
up.
of days.
Maybe we're
I
just so
think.
wrapped up in it, right?
Yeah, you could
We're just
say
so
that.
excited.
You could say
There's
that.
so much going on. There's so much. There's
There's
so
a
much
lot.
content to view.
Let's
There's
talk
so much
about
content.
There's a lot of content. We'll talk about the content
What are the
later.
What are the rules here,
Here are the rules.
Here are the rules.
are we have not decided, everybody, what the winners of these awards are going to be.
man? We haven't decided them.
Nope. We do have a good group of folks that we think are deserving of it, but otherwise, Joshua and I are about to sit here and live award the winners. We're going to figure out who the winner is
Yeah.
live here on the air.
Yes, we are. So we've got a few different categories. Again, these nominees for each category have been discussed. However, the ones that we are going to award with a rear end award have not been decided. So this is where the debate part of it comes
That's
in.
right.
This is where the discussion happens, and this is where all of the fun, insults, and gameplay that we usually do come in. That you guys love, apparently. It's been through the survey. Our thousands of listeners have said number one favorite thing they love about PWOT
Is when we fight.
is when we fight.
Oh, okay. Well, we
So-
might fight. Who knows? So let's talk about first let's just go right to it. The news of the year.
The news of the year is our second category, actually.
Well, no,
We're gonna start with
we're
it?
just gonna go right.
Oh,
to
we're
it.
not even going in
No,
order.
we're not going in order.
I was
The
told we were going in
we're
alphabetical
calling
order.
it in the ring.
Hold on, I gotta. We'll call it in the ring, brother. I
Call it
gotta.
in the ring.
Well, I gotta take notes now. Hold
The
on.
news of the year. The three biggest stories that we could think of through the year of 2022 were, of course, the start of the year. Cody Rhodes being
The Codester.
the Cody Roller Codester
Mm-hmm.
being forced out, voluntarily leaving.
Voluntary leaving AEW.
Who really truly knows? But we do know that his contract was pretty much just allowed to expire,
Yeah.
and he walked away. And now he has a new home, a lot less responsibility, and we can talk about that in a bit. But that is one. Cody Rhodes returning to WWE after his AEW tenure. Then, of course, in the summer, late summer, we had the exit of Vincent Kennedy McMahon from the professional wrestling world, from the hopefully from the public eye. Period. I would love to never see his face anywhere again. But
really,
we shall see how that goes. And then finally, wrapping things up with the biggest story of the year, I'm sure you can guess, Philip Jack Brooks and his crusade, his one man crusade against the company where he pinned their greatest world champion for the world championship on the same night.
Yeah.
All
So
right,
those are our three categories. You got
let's talk
CM
about
Punk
that.
leaving AEW or being dismissed from AEW, Cody Rhodes returning to WWE from AEW, and then Vince McMahon just being stepping down as CEO
Yes,
of the
yes.
WWE.
Voluntarily stepping down.
I'm going to voluntarily leave. Everyone, welcome to Monday Night Raw.
Wait a minute. Telling me that I have to volunteer, like that by stepping down, I was giving up my creative control?
Yes, Vince. The fate of Vince McMahon rests firmly in the hands of Jesus Christ.
Is he talking to himself there, Vince McMahon?
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh,
And it's probably in the mirror. Before he goes out, he's got to do a couple of those exercises like A-E-I-O-U.
I'll tell you what, man. That is, he played it. If he believes he played himself out of this job, I guess let's talk about that first. Vince McMahon. If he believes he somehow played himself out of this job, or that he I took bad advice. No, you took the only advice that could have been taken. Because look what happened, man. The stock price went up. The ratings went up.
Yep. The
Which
overall
is
view of their
pretty hard to
product
do.
has gone up.
Yep, everything's gone up since you left.
It could be said, though, and I'm not defending Vince at all in this. I'm not. But it could be said, though, that they had some momentum prior to Vince leaving. They really did. Like, things were going in the right direction.
Did, but you want to know what that momentum was? Cody Rhodes, which is another category.
Could it be?
Or not category, but story.
I love...
I mean, that is the only thing in WWE that was doing anything for me all year long. John Cena didn't even really come. He came back once. Here I am wearing my Cena shirt that I literally bought a John Cena shirt for the first time in my life ever, because it was actually a pretty cool shirt.
That's a lie. He wears Cena shirts all the time.
That's not true. You've never seen me wear one ever, because I've not owned one.
The last rear end awards that we did, you were wearing the Hustle, Loyalty, Respect shirt.
Right. That's great.
Matter of fact, every single time we've done a rear end rewards, you've always been wearing that shirt.
Oh my God, you're right. You're right
See?
about that. Every single rear end awards we've ever had. The REAs.
The REAs. That's the annual REAs.
Thank you, Vince McMahon.
I can't.
We've hired him for
news
for our announce team.
For news of the year, I cannot argue against the CM Punk leaving AEW story. I think that is, by and large, the biggest, weirdest, most fucked up part of the year. That maybe it's because it's the more current of the three, potentially, but it's just such a bizarre situation. Like, there's other news that we could have brought up too, but I didn't even think about it. Like, Tony Khan bought Ring of Honor. That's kind of big. That's newsworthy.
Yeah, but it's not surprising at all.
It
right?
kind of is.
No,
it
is
sucks.
not.
It's a thing, but it's kind of
It's not surprising though. Like when you hear Tony Khan bought Ring of Honor, it's like, oh, of course he did. Okay,
but
great.
a wrestler coming to the WWE is big news.
It's not a wrestler coming to WWE, Josh. It's an AEW executive just walking out of the company for we'll probably never know what actual reason.
Well, if you look at
but
how
we know that something happened. And
the snowball was rolling.
Continued all year long.
And it still kind of continues. I mean, this shit with CM Punk is not ending, and it's who knows what's going to happen with it.
Well,
what's the result of it?
And that, of course, like you said, I think I have to agree with you. Because
and that could have been
Cody Rhodes leaving and coming back to WWE, that almost fit. Right?
Yeah.
That almost felt, okay, you know what? This is huge. And for precedent, for everything else that AEW will do from this point. and the way that this puts AEW in light compared to WWE.
Yep.
What did Cody Rhodes do? He looked like a superhero.
Yeah.
He came back on the biggest possible stage that the industry has to offer, with the biggest possible fanfare that the industry has to offer.
Yeah.
With the seal of approval and thumbs up from the old man that he could never have gotten the approval from when he actually
Was there.
there,
it
which
was
is
so
very strange. But he comes back and he's the prodigal son.
Yeah.
And you know what? It felt right.
Yeah.
I realize he was an AEW executive, an AEW day one guy, probably one of the reasons, if not the reason, the linchpin that got Tony Khan in and, and started this whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Cody and Tony were very clearly hand in hand on a lot of different things.
Yep.
At least publicly facing for the company.
Right.
Yes, Matt and Nick and Kenny were very wrestling focused, but Cody had a lot of other responsibilities going on outside of the ring.
Exactly, and that's true. And he constantly brought that up in most of the interviews that he would do and the promotional events that he would do. He'd have a suit on and he'd talk about all of the endless sleeping, the endless nights of no sleep because of setting up promotional events, for setting up, buying up, negotiating venues and stuff like that. That stuff he obviously would never have to do in the WWE. As a part of it, and I think that a year or two of that probably exhausted him to the point of where he's like, I just want to be a wrestler again. And the biggest thing, and it's exactly like what you had said, when you're looking at Cody Rhodes in the AEW, initially, big success, awesome. Everything was great. But man, those big, gaudy, firework explosion entrances, his music, everything like that, he was the most hated good guy in the company. And it was such a bizarre twist because the moment he debuted in WWE, he was John Cena. He was a John Cena pop. It was the Road Warriors pop. Like, it was just like big everything. And it's like, you think about wrestling fans in the WWE and the AEW, and from what I can gather, I think for the most part, they're a lot of the same people. It's just when they're in an AEW situation, they cheer and boo for certain people. But when they're in a WWE situation, they also cheer for certain people. And it's bizarre to see that, they could be in Oklahoma City and it's like AEW's there and then, Cody Rhodes comes out and gets booed. But if a WWE's there and Cody Rhodes come out, he gets cheered. And it's just like, all right. So I think those two stories can kind of be intertwined. Like you'd said, like, why did he feel motivated to leave AEW? Well, one, the crowd's booing the shit out of him. Nobody respects him. He's probably losing like some of that, not responsibility, but like, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like, I'm
not sure.
Not responsibility, but like, maybe feeling less
useful.
I guess. I don't know. There's a word that I should be using instead. But like, if he's feeling like some of his power is slipping away and people aren't responding to him the right way or not listening to his ideas or not, just like, Cody, that's a great idea, but we're going to go with what Kenny thinks. The Young Bucks or Tony's got this great idea, like whatever. I could see him. And obviously the way that AEW continued over the next 6 months after he left, the fucking Travis Shamackery that the locker room became, that he obviously had some foresight into the shitstorm that was coming and was like, I'm out. Like, I don't even want a 6-month extension. I don't want to finish up storylines. I don't want a TNT title run. Like, I want out. Like, I need out of the company. And they're like, okay.
Well,
and obviously it was the right decision.
Yeah.
Other than his right pectoral.
Right. And then,
other
of
than
course,
that, but that's a workout injury. That wasn't anything.
Predict that. Right. That was not anything he did in the ring. But, right. Him coming back to WWE, while it's big for all of those reasons, you're right. At the end, it almost felt right.
Yeah, he had
Vince
nothing left to do in
McMahon.
AEW because he booked himself out of the world title picture.
Right.
So he could never be a part of that unless they worked some kind of storyline.
Well, I don't know if he did that or if somebody else did that. And I know that he claims it was his call, but I'm sure he was.
Really?
Who knows?
Because look at Kenny. Kenny
I don't
Omega
know.
booked himself as world champion, which I loved his run.
Well, it was great, and
It was.
eventually he was going to be world champion. We all knew that, but I think
Well,
that
I
we
hoped
all.
that.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think any of us expected that Cody wasn't going to be world champion. I think we expected he would be at some point.
I would have loved to have
But
seen
then
that.
he booked himself out of it in
Right,
literally
right
the
away.
first month of
Yeah,
TV
yeah.
that they ever had.
It was
It's like,
very strange.
and by the way, at the pay-per-view, if I lose, you're never going to see me challenge for this world title. It doesn't matter who the champion is ever again.
I didn't
What are
understand
you
that.
doing?
That's happened
But
before
anyway,
in wrestling.
We're getting way off topic.
Sure. I mean, that's their
hilarious.
That's their shtick,
right?
yeah. We're
Cody,
one topic.
Cody
in
leaving, coming back, it felt right. Vince leaving in the worst way, or not the
Yeah.
worst way, but basically being forced out of the chair.
Embezzling
That's
money, sexual
pretty
harassment.
Pretty
yeah.
much the only way that he would have retired before his death.
There is
So,
more twist to that too, by the way,
well,
which I don't know if we've talked so much about in recent months.
There-
But there's like apparently
there's
not enough,
even more
enough evidence against Vince, and so Vince is thinking he took some bad advice and he should not have stepped down.
I mentioned that earlier.
Yeah.
And you're right.
Like he could come back.
Well, what am I saying? No, there's
say-
evidence. Like there's two new credible, like recent allegations about some things now. So
good.
yeah, no, he's not.
I
Going
hope he
anywhere.
doesn't.
He's not going anywhere. But him being forced out of the chair because of something like this, honestly, when you look at it, that's probably the only way that it would have gone. So I'm not saying it felt right, but it feels almost fitting. The CM Punk thing, I just don't get what happened.
I don't either.
He worked himself into a shoot.
Yeah.
That's what happened. You know what? Yes, Hangman Page was probably a little pissed, dude.
Yeah.
He was pissed because it's well known that you have a problem with this guy, right? This Colt Cabana guy. You guys were the best of friends, but lo and behold, somebody that you were friends with, that you claimed you were friends with for a really long time, you had a big falling out with.
Right.
And now you guys aren't friends. Oh, no, yeah.
That's never
I
happened
don't care
before.
I don't care where that guy works or where he eats or where he sleeps or where he breathes. And yet I am going.
Out of nowhere, for no reason, it's a post pay-per-view celebration, and he goes off on him because why? Because he sees a guy in a crowd who apparently was co-friends or acquaintances of whatever. But before we jump into that, the
Wait.
Vince McMahon thing.
Okay.
One
Vince
last
McMahon thing. One last
30 seconds.
Yes.
You know how the perfect ending of the Vince McMahon story would be? Heading into 2023, it's not a teaser, this is a spoiler, Zach. What's Kennedy McMahon doing in the Impact Zone, brother? I know.
Well, just call him
Demores.
VKM.
I know
Just call
Demore.
him VKM.
Oh, the Voodoo Kid Mafia.
He would be, yeah.
That would tie in the entire story.
The problem is Brian James
Is the WWE guy
he's
now.
back under the wing of WWE.
And Kip James is in
And
AEW.
Kip James is in AEW.
Damn it.
And it was just those two, right? Or did they?
Well, then they do the storyline with Ace Austin this time.
Oh.
And so they're like, Ace Austin's fighting, and he's like, who's the leader of VKM? And he pulls off his mask, and what does he say?
He says,
It was
me,
Austin."
Alexander.
No,
it was
Austin.
me all along."
It's Austin. Ace Austin.
Excuse me. I'm just saying, like, if you get,
It was me, Ace Austin.
if you get,
It was me all along.
Josh Alex, that'd be the ultimate impact moment.
It would be
for,
perfect.
for sure.
I would love that. That'd be fun. Just for one day. Just for one day. Book him for a day. Promise
know.
him some ladies or something. I'm sure he'd be all over it.
Oh, you're saying that there are going to be young, virile women there?
All sorts of them.
But yes, when you really, really put it in perspective, it's like, okay, yes, Punk, you're right. Me, Zach Hagenbusher, somebody who claims to have a podcast about this industry, somebody who this is one of the
We claim we have a podcast. It's 141 episodes. No one listens. That's right.
one of the
We do it to listen to each other.
one of the last.
These podcasts into an AI so that when one of us goes, we can continue it on later and just bitch about wrestling.
There we go.
I hope we hit 200 before then. But hey,
When? Okay, what was I gonna say? God damn.
sorry.
No, that's all right. It's not your fault. CM Punk. Okay. CM Punk was like, yo, why are you going on TV and making shoot comments
Yeah.
about me? And it's like, Punk, the only people who know
Yeah.
that they are quote unquote, shoot comments, it's such a small number of people.
It's him. It's him and Hangman. It's like
the
a
people
couple-
backstage and maybe 1,000, 2,000 other people that
Maybe.
like listen to everything that Sean Ross Sapp says. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those are the only people.
But even then, it
who
could have been
actually
worked
knew.
into a nice little. Ooh, that's a
Excuse
digger
me.
right there. That's a mean little hit.
That's what I
It could
thought
have been
it
perfect.
was. I thought it fit into the the storyline.
Because they were both doing this tweener thing of actual hatred, and it worked.
They were doing, because Punk kept saying like, "Oh, I don't know why you have made this so personal,
Yeah.
but clearly something's going on." And Hangman very clearly explained
Yeah.
in kayfabe on TV why, to his character of Hangman Page, this match was personal. It's because he saw CM Punk as an invading force on certainly his world championship reign,
Sure.
if not the company itself. And you know
Yep.
what? There's an interesting story to be told there
Yeah.
that I thought, okay, Tony Khan must see this story.
Yeah.
Like, he has to. We all, like, we the larger wrestling community and the people who care enough to actually look at it and talk
Sure.
about it, we see this, and that's what I thought for sure. I'm
Oh,
like, this
definitely.
is brilliant. This
Yeah.
is great. And then CM Punk pins Adam Page clean
Yeah.
in the middle on Double or Nothing. Doesn't turn heel, just wins. He's just the champion.
The extra wrinkle to that, and this is on the FTR podcast, is that Punk potentially did not want the belt either.
Oh,
That
really?
was a booked storyline. Yeah, that I guess was what was brought up by Dax Harwood.
Oh, now they're claiming, I didn't even want the belt.
Punk did not want the championship. He
Oh, I
wanted to
don't
put-
even want the belt.
He probably
Of course.
wanted to initially put over Hangman, but then the personal shit came in. The thing is that the thing about that too is that little shoot in the ring where he was face to face and Punk obviously wasn't going to do anything because he was like, "What are you talking about?" So that happened, and then I don't know, a month or two later, after their angle had even ended, he did get his revenge and shot back at him in the ring, and honestly embarrasses Hangman Page, it embarrasses AEW, it embarrasses his title run, which already had asterisks by it anyway because the title run kind of sucked. Hangman Page's sucked, and so did CM
Page
Punk's.
was pretty good.
He was a lame duck champion.
He
was
had great
barely-
matches with Adam Cole,
Exactly.
Bryan Danielson.
Yes, he did,
Yes.
but they were not attention
He
seeking. They were
won
not.
the match. He won the title from Kenny in what should be
That
considered
was
an
the-
AEW classic.
That was an AEW classic, but that was the climax of his entire run, was him winning the championship. After that, it was great matches, certainly, but they were never the were never the focus of the entire show.
But I would argue that's not his fault.
No, it wasn't.
Look
His
at
booking,
it, right?
yeah.
Ironically enough, CM Punk was taking the John Cena slot
Yeah.
in this story.
Yeah,
CM
absolutely.
Punk was being featured much more heavily than the actual world champion
Yeah.
at the same
and
time.
MJF referenced that several times. It was great.
Yes.
He was like, "You're kind of this guy now. I can see you, CM."
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. It was really, really well done.
Right.
But the thing is after Adam Page
But
lost
he didn't
the
see
championship,
himself that way, obviously.
No, and after Adam Page lost the championship belt, he kind of disappeared, and everybody was like, "Well, where is he?" And so then CM Punk's like, "Here it is. Here's your chance right now. Let's fight. Let's have a championship match right now in Dynamite."
He knew he wasn't there.
And he knew he wasn't there, and there was nothing that happened, and so like everyone was left feeling uncomfortable, and it's like
Already
what,
going
what
into
was
all of
what was this like what that in my opinion, if that was your way of getting back at Page,
It should be
fine,
over right there.
Fine, that's great because that was a far bigger offense in my opinion than him shooting on you lightly in the ring face to face. Like that hurts everyone. That hurt AEW and it hurt Adam Page for looking like a coward.
Because me, in the moment, as a fan watching it, thought,
I was
what are
like,
they
what
doing
is-
here?
yeah, I'm like,
what
what?
are they doing here? Why are they making Adam Page look like a complete loser?
Yeah.
He's not coming out here at all. It's because nobody knew.
Yeah.
Because Phil was all butthurt that this guy said something because he can't. Okay.
Yeah.
It just gets me so mad because
No,
you know
I
what?
agree. I agree.
I understand, dude. You're a great wrestler. I'll even say great.
Yeah.
I used to say good. I'll
Cool.
say great. Punk. I'll say great.
Okay.
He's a great
He's a great
wrestler.
wrestler, sure.
Okay. He's got a mind for the business, obviously. He's got a great talent of portraying different characters.
Yep.
The problem is he's just too into his own stuff.
He's way
He's
too into
way
his own stuff.
too into his own stuff right now. Like if he talks this big humble game, right? Oh, I'm
Oh, yeah.
coming in, and because I know that I'm making the most money here, I'm gonna flaunt this money in front of all of these people and go to these guys that I want to respect me, MJF and the FTR and Wardlow,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna be like, hey guys, do you think I'm cool? Well, you do now, because I've got a $500 Starbucks gift card for for all of you. You know what I mean? Well, no, that's the
Good
story.
job.
Like that was the story. Like he tried to buddy up to these guys by literally bribing them.
Yeah.
He tries to pretend like he's this counterculture, antisocial. Oh, I'm just a guy. If you've got a fucking problem with me, come and find me.
You know
Let's
where I
fucking
am.
go. So guess what happened? They did. They came and found you, Phil. And you know what happened? Your fucking facade of sitting there and claiming that you want to be there for the boys. I'm there to teach the next generation. No, you're there to get credit for teaching the next generation. You want nothing to do with actually teaching them. Because when people are now then came up in your face and went, dude, we actually don't necessarily like all of the things that you've been doing here. And also, we were here first. We run the company. We're executive vice presidents. We're kind of the reason why any of this is here to begin with.
Yeah.
We came to you at the beginning, and you didn't take it seriously then because you didn't believe that it was a big enough platform.
Yeah.
And now that we obviously I'm taking the side of the elite.
Sure,
big
the
way
elite,
here.
yeah.
But now that the elite have
gotten it to a
actually
level.
established the fucking company,
Yep.
have brought it to the level of what it is today by off of their backs, off of their matches, off of their bodies, off of literally Kenny Omega giving up a year plus 3 years of his life, of his health,
Yep.
as we've discovered,
Yeah.
just to keep the ship upright, just because he knew that if he left the business for a significant amount of time at that point, the momentum would have come to a screeching halt.
Yeah.
So he sacrificed so much.
Yep.
And what do we get? What does Phil Brooks do? Well, yeah, I don't know why you guys don't listen to me. Why aren't you listening to me? I've done everything. I got booked by Vince McMahon to win a bunch of matches, and then got booked by Vince McMahon to become a star in WWE, and then got booked by Vince McMahon every step of the way until I left a legend because I talked down Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wait a minute. So
Yeah.
you're saying that your notoriety comes from your relationship and ties to Vince McMahon. Okay. So what are you outside of that? You
Yeah.
were pretty good in Ring of Honor,
Sure. It was not the reason Ring of Honor was even remotely big, but sure.
but you're pretty good, right? He was a well-known name. You being closer to that scene at the time than me, for sure.
Sure.
I mean, I was a literal teenager, and you were an adult person.
I saw his Impact run. Sure.
Yeah, he
was
he
there.
did some Impact stuff.
He did Ring of Honor stuff, was a world champion in Ring of Honor, but there's been plenty of people that have gone through that exact same thing and done very similar. Nigel McGuinness, Homicide, AJ Styles, Samoa Joe. Like they were all at about that same level. I think a lot of guys went far and beyond what CM Punk did in Ring of Honor. When he showed up in ECW in the WWE
Brian Danielson,
for
who
sure.
ran laps around him in Ring of Honor,
Yeah,
in
exactly.
Japan, way before he got to WWE. I'm
Exactly.
saying, I guess I'm saying that right. Punk was almost like one of the, he was like a early wave new indie talent in 2000, 2001.
Yep. Right.
That wound up getting hit with that first wave of pickups. Samoa Joe finding his way to Impact.
Yep.
Punk.
Austin Aries.
Austin
That
Aries.
same class, that Roderick Strong, like
Well, but it took a little bit for those guys to find a home. I'm saying that, like,
True.
Joe and Punk being part of the same, I guess you could say, class.
yeah.
Like, of guys who
yeah, of course,
graduated
yeah.
out
Right.
of Ring of Honor and to the big leagues.
Yep.
Joe washed up on the shores of TNA.
Yeah.
Punk wound up on the shores of the ECW brand.
You're right.
Well, of
right.
OVW and then the
Yeah,
ECW
exactly,
brand.
yep.
And that's the thing, man. He did that because he wanted to go for it. He wanted
Mm-hmm.
to be a star. I'm not saying he's not talented. And I'm not saying that he doesn't have good qualities. He's a very charismatic guy. I
Absolutely.
really enjoy listening to him talk when he isn't going off. But even when he is going off, there's something magnetic about it. You're like,
Yeah.
okay, I am hanging on his every word.
Right. This
We've-
is, and I think CM Punk leaving AEW is news of the year. We've agreed on this,
Yes.
and we could do an entire. We've done an entire episode on CM Punk before.
But this new thing, because this is I was so hoping, Joshua, I was so hoping that we were going toward a destination of everybody recognizes that CM Punk threw the first punch in this fight. Yes, there were bad things happening between both parties or whatever.
Sure.
But CM Punk was the one who went out on national, whatever, a huge
Yeah, that fucking
platform
thing, yeah.
and yelled at everybody on the fucking thing, then told everybody to come fight him in his locker room, and then they did.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they didn't. They went back there to confront you. You fought them
Yeah.
in your locker room.
But who's to say when it is time again for the REA awards of next year, of REA 2,
hang on.
who's to say
These facts are undisputed. We know this happened.
we know it happened?
So why, as wrestling fans, is this even a debate? The debate is over. You know who's in the wrong here? CM Punk.
Absolutely.
And for so many different reasons. And if you are listening to this and you do not believe that CM Punk is somehow in the wrong here and that it's obviously Kenny and the Bucks and they're the problem in AEW,
Smash the like button and give us a subscription.
Yeah, exactly.
And then also leave your comments below on why you
Yeah,
think it's the
why,
elite. There are plenty of
exactly,
people,
why.
though, that do believe the elite are going to push this company into the ground and that it won't be around 2 or 3 years from now.
even
And
though
that
they're
CM
the only reason that it's good or
and
even
that
exists.
CM Punk is in the right here. But here's the thing, like, this is what I was about to say. When we do our Rear End Awards 2 in 2023,
Yeah.
who's to say that the CM Punk story won't be the news of the year then
Still
either?
could be. Yeah,
Because if
it's
he
not
winds
over.
up returning to AEW and they use this ammunition, because apparently there was a conversation after Kenny was bit and after everything, when they all were sent home, that night CM Punk and Kenny Omega talked. Like, they talked in person.
Yeah.
So apparently, not saying that the hatchet was buried by any means, but at least there was a discussion there like, hey, whatever happened,
to figure
we
this
need to
out.
figure this out. So if in March, April, May, June, July, whatever, if CM Punk comes back and they do an angle somehow with the elite versus whoever, like FTR and CM Punk, although I don't think FTR is going to be in AEW much longer.
No.
But if there's something that happens there where Punk comes back, and even if it's just for like, look, you're under contract, could you just do 3 matches, like something to set up a match, put someone over, and then I'll give you the rest of your, money, and you can go work somewhere else or whatever. Who knows, right? Who knows? Tony Khan's
Right, 'cause
negotiating
we
as a
ultimately
businessman.
do not know how much creative control Punk has, like,
Exactly.
legally anyway.
And maybe if
right?
he even wanted to come over and go over someone, then fine. At least then we have you headlining a main event, like whatever. Like I think that news would probably become news of the year next year too.
Yeah.
So-
I mean, you're right. So yeah, I mean, it's news of the year, and it's the most infuriating thing, and it's only beginning, everyone.
With that being
It's only
said,
beginning.
Zach,
We're gonna take a short break.
would you like to take a short break?
We're gonna take a short break, and we'll be right back.
We'll be after these messages. We'll be right back. What an awesome commercial break, Zach! I had no idea that you were into
what an
back knee.
awesome break. I was into back knee.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, I'm really into
back knee
this.
prevention.
For sure. Absolutely. Welcome back to the Rear End Awards.
We're moving on to the next topic.
We've figured out our first ever PWOT rear ender. And it
was CM Punk.
CM Punk leaving AEW. Well,
Yeah.
okay, we shouldn't say leaving AEW. See it brawl out. The CM Punk outburst.
The backstage brawl.
The AEW pipe bomb. Brawl out.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is he always? Yeah, he's always surrounded by pipe bombs.
Yeah.
All right, the next category, Zachary, my good friend, is
Yeah.
going to be match of the year, and I can't believe we're jumping right into such a big category, but
Well, they're all big
Match of the year.
categories. They're all big categories.
they're all big. Here's your nominees. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Josh Alexander versus Alex Shelley in Impact Wrestling. FTR versus the Briscoes. Any match.
The trilogy.
The trilogy
right.
of matches. The Elite and the Dark Order in the Trios Finals. Masha Slamovich versus Jordan Grace at Impact Wrestling's Bound for Glory, which I personally think was the best women's match of the year. Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins in Hell in a Cell in the WWE. And then you've got 2 matches that you can pick from here. Will Ospreay versus Kazuchika Okada in the G1 Finals or at the main event of Wrestle Kingdom 16. Now, I'm more familiar with Okada and Ospreay, but if you have the choice of those 2 matches versus anything else, that's my
It's
choice.
Probably has to be.
That's
those
my
two
choice
matches.
because I
Well,
think
right,
Will Ospreay has
realistically.
had one of the most amazing years in general, moving from
Oh yeah.
the end of 2021. He was moving into that main event scene, getting himself.
Well, he won the world championship.
He did. But the thing is NJPW, New Japan is weird like that because you can be a world champion, but you're still considered moving into that once you get into the Wrestle Kingdom main event. Wrestle Kingdom's the biggest show of the year. If you've made it as a main event in that show, like then you've truly like ascended into that. Like now you're what you consider a true IWGP legend because AJ Styles has done it, because
Kenny Omega's
done it. So is Jay White, and then of course Okada, Tanahashi, Naito. Like the list goes on and on. Like there's
Nakamura.
Nakamura as an Intercontinental Champion. True.
Well, as world champion back in the day.
Was he ever IWGP champion?
Oh yeah. Back when Brock was there in 03, 04, 05.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was Shinsuke was
but
he
Nakamura
was very,
to
just
me,
as long as Tanahashi. They
I guess
were the
that's
same
true.
generation.
That's true. I always think of Nakamura as the Intercontinental Champion. Like
that was like
that's
his second
belt.
or third wave of his career, though. Like that was
true.
after he had reinvented himself.
He really did
But
reinvent himself. Yeah. So there's a few matches there. I honestly, it was my influence that got the 2 Impact matches in there. I loved the Josh Alexander Alex Shelley match. It goes into my another category quite a bit later. A lot. I understand though that's probably not the greatest match of the entire year, but it was so freaking good to see Alex Shelley out there looking like it was 2010, 2011. Like he just looks so good. He looks like a main eventer. He talks so well. The build up to that match was awesome because they were both basically talking about like Josh Alexander's like, I'm a world champion now. And Alex Shelley, like you've been here longer than anyone. Like you have these stints here. You go to New Japan, you do whatever. You've been in NXT. Like he's been a part of WWE a little bit here and there too. He's made appearances in AEW, but he's never been world champion. He's never been a main eventer, and he's just strictly saying like, I don't want to be an Alex Shelley guy. I don't want to be Alex Shelley. I want to be Josh Alexander.
Right.
And like Alex Shelley is like, you could never be an Alex Shelley because I'm the only Alex Shelley. And after this pay-per-view, I'm going to show you. And the promos building it up and the heat that they had during their promos against each other was awesome. And maybe that's just because I'm an Alex Shelley mark. Who knows? Whatever. But like, it was great. And the match itself was one of my favorites of the year from Impact. I loved it. So I put that in there. FTR versus the Briscoes at your Ring of Honors. That's the trilogy of matches. They went back and forth on a lot of that.
What's funny is I haven't seen any of them. The only reason why they're really on this list is because I know that if we're going to have any list worth our salt, we have to mention them. But I mean, to be honest, I haven't seen them. So.
I watched the first one because that was officially Ring of Honor's last pay-per-view without Tony Khan being owner, right?
Oh, I think you're right about that.
That was their big hurrah.
I think that it was like it had been whispered or whatever at that time. No, hang on.
No, for real.
Hang on.
Tony Khan just bought it, but he did not produce it. He did not. It was all set up. The production, everything was done, and you can tell. You could tell because it's strictly very Ring of Honor-esque.
Right.
That night was a part of, I believe, WrestleCade or something like that. Like there was just a big group of pay-per-views all around that same city. And the reason
it was WrestleMania weekend, wasn't it?
It very well could have been. Maybe that's right. WrestleCade. Yeah. So WrestleMania weekend, all in the same city. And so Impact was there as well. They did a pay-per-view called Multiverse of Matches.
Yeah.
It was good. It was a very good show because they had NJPW people there. They had MLW people there. They had Ring of Honor guys because of the Briscoes. And then they had AEW people there. It was like this huge, big-ass pay-per-view that they put on too that same night. And weirdly, the Multiverse of Matches didn't start until 10 p.m. that night. So I was like, whatever. So I wound up watching Ring of Honor that night. I watched Multiverse of Matches that night. The Briscoes literally went through, had that match that they had with FTR, which was a banger. Dude, it was good. Then they went to Multiverse of Matches and challenged for the Impact World Tag Team titles. And then all of a sudden they were in the Impact title picture. They went down there for a cup of tea, a couple of tapings, which means you're there for like 3 or 4 months.
Right.
And then they were part of Impact for a while. So like they had a crazy busy WrestleMania weekend / whatever, WrestleCade or whatever you want to call it, on top of the next few months. So like that was the first one. And in my opinion, that was the best one. So like they had done a trilogy of matches. I don't even know. The last one was at the last Ring of Honor December pay-per-view. But was there another one? I guess what was the other one? What did the other one take place?
The other one was on, you're right, it was on a Tony Khan Ring of Honor pay-per-view.
Okay.
It was on the one before the last.
Sure.
Death Before Dishonor Final Battle. They've done both of those. Didn't they do one other one as well?
I don't know.
I
Was
know-
Death,
I
does
think
Death
they've
Before
done
Dishonor was Death Before Dishonor the December show, the one that just happened?
Yeah.
Okay, and
So
then you're right.
Final
Final Battle.
Battle.
Yeah.
and then they did one. I know that they've
Who
done more
knows?
than
It's
one.
3 matches, right?
Whatever.
Exactly.
It is what it is.
So, are you listening to us live?
Yeah. No.
Oh, so anyway, I loved that match. I think that's definitely a good category as well. Elite versus the Dark Order is a very special trios match because it was crowning the very first trios champions.
Yeah.
Which was excellent. The Death Triangle versus there was a discussion we had slightly before this because we love the Elite versus Death Triangle in the Best of 7
Oh, yeah.
series. My favorite of that series was the first one. The second one you could argue for, but the first one was perfect in my opinion, as far as a match goes. But I think the Elite versus the Dark Order is special, and it is a better match overall because one, it's unique. It's the only one match they had. You have a difference of a lot of different skills there. It showcases how fucking talented the Dark Order actually is because they are very talented. Each one of those wrestlers are great workers. And also you get another teaser of Hangman and Okada. I'm sorry, Jesus. Hangman and Omega again, because the two of them work together perfect. Like they're a great, I hope we have many more matches of them in the future that I love to see, and just seeing that a little bit. There was actually the tournament building up to that. There was the Elite versus Aussie Open and Osprey,
Yeah, I
which
saw
was
that
also magnificent.
Yeah, it was great.
Fuck, I almost marked out for that one bigger because it was not the finals. I loved the idea though, when the Dark Order finally did get to the finals though against the Elite, and then Hangman joined the Dark Order to be a part of that, it kind of all came together. And honestly, I think I remember us predicting that.
we figured it out.
We figured it out.
It was like we were talking about it, and then we just kind of went,
oh, that's got to be what's going to
this
happen.
is what they're doing. Like
Yeah.
it was like it could not be anything else. And sure enough, yeah,
Yep. It was great.
that's what they're doing.
It was great. Yeah,
just
I
like
loved
they're doing right now with Hangman and his. This is going to date the episode. I mean, it's already the rear-end words.
the what?
But with his whole, I'm trying to get cleared.
yeah.
And well, what did they say? They said if you don't do anything wild for the
Yeah.
next, I don't know, let's say 2
weeks.
weeks,
Yeah.
then we might clear you. So what you're saying is you're going to clear Hangman Page on the show in LA in 2 weeks, where you're also building your final match of the Best of 7 series and this mystery opponent tag partner match that you're keeping very quiet about nowadays.
Yeah.
Where Sasha Banks is probably going to show up in AEW, but who knows?
You really think so?
Why not?
She's going to be at Wrestle Kingdom?
That's what I mean. Like at this point, she is a free agent.
I kind of
right?
hope she would just stick with New Japan. That's what I would love to see, because it's the perfect neutral ground. So AEW is great and everything, but I have very, 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 very lukewarm feelings of anyone appearing in AEW right now. I think that, and this is something that's happened a gazillion times now.
Well, we
most
only need
recently
an appearance.
with Saraya.
That's it. We just need an appearance. She doesn't have to be a regular character. She can come in for one tag match and then bounce out of there.
Okay.
Like or one tag match and then sign a deal for literally the Brock Lesnar deal. She does 2 more matches this year. Like, because at this stage of the game, I think that's what we're getting from her. I think
Maybe.
she's setting herself up.
Yeah,
for,
she wants Hollywood,
That's her
I know.
deal. Well, no, that's not even what I'm saying. I'm just saying as an athlete, as a wrestler, as a total package performer, she is now going to take this show on the road.
Yeah.
She's going to bring her game to whatever company wants to pay.
Yeah.
If WWE wants to pay for her, they will. But I don't think they will ever get just her again. I don't think she will ever be Becky Lynch, Charlotte.
Sure.
The person who's I am now back with this company for the next 3 years. Typical WWE superstar, doing all the promos, doing all the media.
True, yeah.
I believe she is now going to consider herself, as she should, a valuable property in herself, and these wrestling companies will pay her to come and wrestle a couple of times.
Sure.
And she can go wrestle anywhere she wants, whenever she wants, and then also take whatever job she wants on the side. And
I get
WWE
that.
can't do anything about it.
True.
And until they bow to her demands, and until they give her the kind of part-time contract that they've been giving to other people, the male superstars, if you will,
Yeah.
then they don't get her.
Well, I was
I
suggesting.
think that's where we're at.
I was suggesting though that if she's never going to be a WWE superstar and be like, I'm a WWE person, and that obviously means I cannot work anywhere else, and that's strictly that. I do not believe she'll ever be an AEW talent in that same respect, where she's not going to go to AEW and be a part of their show and just be an AEW superstar for whatever span of time.
We're very off topic.
Oh, look
I'm
at that!
sorry.
Shocking.
It's my bad.
How did
This one's
Sasha Banks
totally
even
my
come
bad.
into this?
I know. I don't know.
She's
I don't
not
know how
match
either.
of the year.
Oh, because we were talking about the Hangman thing. Okay, so we get back to the Hangman. Yeah, Elite versus Dark Order was fine. Slamovich versus Jordan Grace was a great match. I really enjoyed that match. I just wanted it to be mentioned in this list because I thought it was really great.
I love that
Honestly,
match.
it was
It's-
one of my favorite matches of the year, especially because of how well everything. They just worked together so well. They're peanut butter and jelly. It was perfect.
Yeah, and when the match did happen, I thought it was so well done. And Slamovich has only been in Impact for such a short time. I thought, like, my God, like this person, like, can have this good of a match with Jordan Grace, who's been a tenured employee of this place for 4 or 5 years now. Like, she's like the face of the women's division in some respects.
Right.
Like, is this a long-term thing? And if you Google Jordan Grace versus Slamovich matches, there's plenty that they've wrestled in the Indies for years. So
Right.
They have good chemistry, and I hope that it's something that is like a Gail Kim, Awesome Kong thing. Like they can
Yeah.
do this at the main event of Slammiversary again.
Why not?
Fuck, they could do another Bound for Glory main event. Just put a little extra wrinkle into the match or something. Like add a person or who knows what. Like it was great, and it was really well done. And I think the thing is that match is what could potentially be the beginning of something big, where there could be a bigger series of matches. So it's exciting. It's a good stuff. And then,
absolutely.
And then we move into the Hell in a Cell. Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes was the last of their trilogy of matches.
Yeah.
So I loved the match, and it's
yeah.
uncomfortable. It's scary. Like the match itself has a lot of really good storylines going into it. My only issue with it is who went over at the end, because Cody was leaving, obviously, for 9 months to repair his pectoral muscle. Why would they not have Seth Rollins win, who's going to be the one who's going to be a part of the show? That's not to say that the match...
Especially if your actual plan, which obviously this was in a different regime, so the plan is completely changed.
Yeah.
But if the actual plan is to somehow match those two back up again, how can you do that? He beat him three times in a row. The
It's
third
over.
time
He put him to-
in Hell in a Cell with one arm.
He put him to bed, and he basically said, Seth Rollins, thanks for being the workhorse, but you are nowhere near as good as Cody. Shouldn't say nowhere near, because the matches were very competitive. Weren't no
Right.
squashes.
Right.
They were like eking it out at the end, but still, 3 in a row is not a fluke.
No.
That's a Seth Rollins. You're obviously right about here. Roman, Cody, you're
Yes,
probably down
you're
here.
not the world
You're
champion.
around Bobby Lashley. Maybe Lashley's a little higher than
Which
you.
is fine, because you feuded with Bobby Lashley for most of the year as well.
Yeah. So that's my only issue with it, is that it was the third match, and that they didn't even have a rubber band. Like, if anything, Seth should have won the second match, or something. And it's just like, that's the only reason I wouldn't say match of the year. I loved the match, and it was very uncomfortable. Again, his pectoral, his entire upper torso being bruised to fuck. Like, that is scary. It's just crazy, but and it's a great addition to this. I think it was the best Hell in a Cell match WWE's produced in
a long time.
10 years. Like,
Yeah,
seriously,
a long
like
time.
a long time.
A long
So,
time.
and that just makes me more excited for Cody coming back, and hopefully he's injury free in 2023. And that if he's a big part of the main event scene, if he's a big part of whatever, I think we'll talk about this in our hype for 2023 episode coming
That's
in episode
right.
142 next week. But I think there's a lot of excitement going into Cody coming back next year for sure. Not match of the year for me though.
No.
I loved it, but not match of the year.
So in that case, right, I think we are both in agreement here. Will Ospreay and Kazuchika Okada have had matches of the year,
They're the matches of
one-on-one
the year.
matches to this point, and I'm right. I'm right there with you. I personally prefer their G1 final. I thought that was the crisper, the sharper of the two.
Sure.
Well, also because they don't. Well, actually, I suppose the final gets the hour, right?
Yeah.
The final gets the hour. So they both have the same time limit, and the Tokyo Dome was the bigger stage.
Yep.
But I felt like the drama, I don't know, I felt the drama was larger in the G1 final because it was so clear that Okada was winning. And unfortunately, that's kind of the problem for this coming week for Wrestle Kingdom 17 as well. It's pretty clear. You're telling me
If
that
they wanted
Jay
to twist,
White,
if they wanted to give
the
us the
villain,
biggest twist ever,
the leader of Bullet Club, your largest foreign heel stable, you're going to have that guy go over the conquering hero that you have posing as Antonio Inoki in your Antonio Inoki memorial promo shot. Kazuchika Okada is winning at Wrestle Kingdom.
Agreed. That is one thing that is the only, and I don't even say it's a knock but it is a predictability of Wrestle Kingdoms is that at the end, a face of the company will always go over. A face in Japan-born NJPW original will go over, always. And that it seems, maybe it's a little predictable, but I come back every year buying it and loving it. So you don't watch Star Wars to see the Empire win at the end.
That's right.
You watch Star Wars to see the good guys win.
And
I don't
if-
watch Star Wars at all anymore. But hey,
Right.
NJPW's Wrestle Kingdom's spectacular, and it's yeah, exactly. If we see Jay White go over at the end, I'll probably eat my shoe. So
Ospreay and Okada win a rear ender.
yeah,
Wrestler of the year.
Wrestler of the year. We've
Wrestler
got a few.
of the year. So let's just talk a little bit about our strongest candidates here. So
Sure.
my strongest candidate is probably realistically it's probably Jon Moxley. I think that
It's the summer of Moxley, my friend.
the year of Moxley.
The year of
from
Moxley.
really from him coming back and returning
When he was supposed to be on
cleaner and
vacation.
healthier than ever.
Yes,
well,
true.
that's what I mean. At the beginning of the year,
That's a good comeback
coming
story, too.
back,
Yeah.
you know, and being like, hey, no, I think it was great. It was like late 21 when he actually came back.
I think you're right.
But
yeah.
right, kind of getting his feet back under him after having been out of the AEW World Title picture for a very long time.
Yep.
Finally getting back into that picture.
Did he win the
And
title
then,
3 times this year?
He won the interim title. He unified he won the interim title from Tanahashi. He
Oh, yeah, that's right.
unified the title
It
with
was
Punk
CM
on
Punk.
Dynamite.
In a 2-minute match.
And then he won the vacant title from who was it? Was it Hangman? No.
I think him and Hangman were the finals.
Was that the final for the championship? No, it was a title defense. So he won the championship. Who did he win the championship from? I don't even remember.
I feel really bad.
I
I
know.
don't remember either.
But he definitely wasn't it something stupid like no, not something stupid. No, I think that was the interim. That was the shot for the interim title. He beat Kyle O'Reilly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Where's he now? Disappearing act of the year.
Well, no, and
Bobby
then
Fish and
that
O'Reilly.
whole thing.
Oh, shit. That's a
that
big-
was a weird. That almost could have been not
News of the year, but it's
like
something weird,
That
yeah.
whole where there was a huge wave of people that were apparently all being talked to by Triple H and WWE at the same time.
Yeah.
I guarantee O'Reilly, Fish, and Cole were part of that. And
Yeah.
we literally have not seen or heard from
know.
any of those, any of the two that are left in AEW since, because
Yeah.
Bobby is gone.
Yep.
Kyle O'Reilly is hurt, allegedly.
Yeah.
And Adam Cole is also apparently like career-endingly hurt.
Yeah.
Did you hear about that? That
I
was
mean,
terrible.
Tommy End took time off too, and there was a lot of rumors about him.
well, yeah.
Andrade and Sammy
Andrade's
Guevara got into a
gone,
big
yeah.
fight.
He
The
literally
AE
punched him, fought him on purpose to try and get fired.
Yeah, I think the AEW locker room or the fucking travesty that has become the AEW locker room may be part of the CM Punk storyline as well. But there's a lot of shit. It's just a lot of shit. Cody Rhodes left before all that shit happened. But yes, Wrestler of the Year. I think there's a lot of good arguments for Jon Moxley. Zach's going to look up to see which the match was that he won when he won, not the interim
It's really
champion.
bothering me. I can't
Yeah,
remember.
it's all good. Let me go through the quick list here of other wrestlers because Wrestler of the Year can mean a lot of things. And I said my very first person that came to my head, Jon Moxley wasn't the first person that Zach had off the top of his head.
No.
Mine-
Jamie Hayter was first person. I had
Jamie
off the
Hayter
top of
was
my head.
his.
That's also my sentimental favorite.
Mine was Sami Zayn,
Oh yeah.
which we didn't even put in.
No, yeah, we
as
didn't
a-
even
as
write
a-
it down.
as a
Sami Zayn
nominee.
absolutely
I think Sami
belongs on the
Zayn could
list.
absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
Think about this. Like
He had an incredible match with Johnny Knoxville of all people at
seriously,
WrestleMania.
yes, that was it. And as goofy and as silly and over the top as it was sports entertainment to the extreme. Like it was just as entertaining as The
He
Rock.
beat Bryan Danielson.
Oh, he beat. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
the,
it was
the
September
black-
21st, Dynamite Grand Slam.
Oh.
He beat him to become the first ever 3-time AEW World Champion. So yes, he did win the championship, kind of 3 different times in the same year.
Yeah,
They were all kind of the same reign at the same time.
yeah, it was weird. They fucked up that storyline quite a bit. If they had just had Moxley go over CM Punk, almost all of this could have been avoided. Like literally everything. Because
You know what they could have done? It could have been Hangman go over CM
Yeah.
Punk. How about that?
How about
you,
that?
You losers.
Yeah.
How about that, Tony Khan? You've completely lost your mind. But yeah, let's talk about who's Wrestler of the Year. It's probably an AEW wrestler. It's probably Jon Moxley or Chris Jericho. I think
Sami
has a
Zayn
really
is more
big
over
spot.
than any of them.
But I disagree. I think that in their own context, because that's the thing. You can't say, I mean, obviously WWE, okay, so Sami Zayn is involved in the one storyline that anyone cares about in that company at all. Oh my God! It just so
Hey,
happens to be the bloodline.
I like Dom and
Oh,
Rhea
yeah,
Ripley just fine.
Excuse me. Dom and Rhea Ripley is the other story that people care about, but not for the reasons that they want you to care about it. And they'll make little skits hinting at things, but then we all know that the real life situation is not the same.
Sure.
So it's like it does work, but it only works to a certain level, at least in my opinion. Also, Dom can't wrestle.
All right. Right. So, wrestlers of the year. You like Jamie Hayter. I'm going to keep saying Sami Zayn. I'm going to keep saying Sami Zayn.
I think Sami Zayn is fine. I'm just saying to compare the two. Sami Zayn is involved in the only over story on the show.
Sure. But he's also
for
got
the whole
that,
year.
He's got the Bryan Danielson I'm getting hot at the right time effect, because when Bryan Danielson was super over, it was organically made by the crowd.
Yeah.
When Daniel Bryan then.
Well,
but like,
and he was given that world title push. You can't forget it was
But
the
leading
only
up to
reason
that-
why we believe that these people. That's the thing about that era of WWE. The only reason why we would get so invested in these people that they were pushing was because they started pushing them.
Yeah, but
they
the
would
thing
show
is-
us flickers and they'd be like, "Look at Wade Barrett, he's pretty good, right?"
Yeah.
And we'd be like, "Yeah, you know what? He is pretty good." And then we'd
Sure.
all start to watch and we'd be like, "He's actually pretty good." Oh, I guess he's not that good. He also lost to John Cena, just like literally
Sure,
everybody else.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. I
But
guess
the thing
he's not
is
any
there was moments leading up to Bryan Danielson before I mean, he was obviously a world champion as a heel with AJ Lee and all that shit too. I get that, but like when they were doing the whole greatest match of all time, or the time where they unify the belts with John Cena and Randy Orton, it's like
Yeah.
these two are the best. It was so obvious that the crowd was completely 100% Bryan Danielson in the crowd.
Yes.
That's the kind of things that are happening right now with Sami Zayn. They're trying to focus on Roman Reigns or whoever that guy, that
No,
YouTuber.
Roman is a huge part of it.
They're
The
trying to
only
focus
reason
on
why
everyone
people care
else.
about this is
But
'cause
that
of Roman.
crowd, sure. They're trying to focus on all those things, but that crowd, as soon as Sammy even says like, "Hold on, excuse me," that crowd pops.
Oh, yeah.
They cheer Sammy. Like they do the whole thing, and everyone's like, "Oh God, don't mess this up." And I honestly, and I am still on the edge of my seat, hoping that they do not mess this up, because I don't know if it needs to become Sami Zayn winning a belt off of Roman Reigns. I don't know if it needs to become Roman and Sammy having a feud or anything like that. I don't know if it ever needs to be that. I'm actually kind of cool with the idea of Roman Reigns liking Sami Zayn, and that's just it. He just likes him. He thinks he's a good dude, and he's a part of this faction, and he just, like, that's it. He likes him. Like, and that's the storyline. It doesn't need to go anywhere. It doesn't need to end up in a world championship reign. I think that Roman and the bloodline should help Sammy win a championship belt, maybe from Gunther, maybe the US title, something like that, something big where it's like, I don't know. I think that's all you need to ever do with it. And then eventually, if it gets to a point where it's like run its course or whatever, then do something. But I'm worried they're going to pull the trigger on it too soon. I'm worried they're going to mess with it. I don't know. Anyway, so wrestler of the year, you said Jamie Hayter. We've also talked about Moxley. We've also talked about Bryan Danielson. He could be in there as well, but you have an argument against Bryan Danielson that works. If you're talking about in-ring performances, Bryan Danielson's
it's
excellent.
great, but he
what the
lost
hell?
to Moxley for the world title. He lost to Jericho twice for the ROH title.
Yeah, exactly.
All of his actual attempts at accomplishing something
Right.
this year have not worked out on screen. So no, I don't think he can win the award.
He storyline, sports entertainment wise, he was very much so a defense of William Regal being beaten up by John Moxley.
That
He was
as
like,
well,
please don't. I
which-
love this
do
man's
you
story.
notice, you notice that is where they've taken the story now.
Yeah.
It seems as if the answer to, well, where does Bryan Danielson stand with the rest of these guys? The answer is apparently he's on the out.
Yeah.
Because they seem, by they I mean
Wheeler,
Moxley,
Yuta, and
Wheeler and Claudio. They
yeah.
seem to be the trio.
Yeah.
That Danielson does not hang out with them on screen. He's not been seen with either of them on screen, with any of them on screen, since William Regal left the company.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that's over.
The Combat Club is interesting, although they did tease something on Wednesday night about Wheeler Yuta wanting to punch, what is it, somebody in the face. It was the Swerve Strickland and his new faction.
Oh, yeah,
like
that's right.
He's
Yeah,
like
they're gonna wrestle.
not the Bullet Club. Jesus, the Blackpool Combat Club likes to fight too. So maybe I'll see you next week or something. It's like, oh yeah, cool. So who knows if that's going to be a storyline or not? But I don't really give two shits, honestly.
I don't
but-
think Brian deserves. I think Bianca had a really good year, but it's almost like her one match this year that I can really point to and be like, that was awesome, was the Becky Lynch match at Mania.
Sure.
I think that everything else that she's had this year has been really good because she's been in it.
Yep.
But like, she hasn't had any other major feuds. It feels like her thing with Bayley that just petered out. And that,
Yeah.
and you know what? They had a really good ladder match. They
Yeah.
did have a really good ladder match, but I don't think that it's enough to topple Moxley's year or Jericho's year.
Sure.
Even. I think Jericho has a better case. NFTR as a tag team, but also, frankly, as an act, they also really got over a lot of different places, you know,
Sure.
and had some great matches. But overall, I don't know. If you were to tell me that Sami Zayn is your for sure pick for
He's not.
wrestler of the
I'm just
year,
saying he needs to be in the
okay.
argument. My for sure pick for wrestler of the year
If they had
is the one
done
we didn't
something
mention
else
yet.
with him, if they had actually pulled the trigger on him this year, then yeah,
Oh,
there might
sure.
he would have a much better case to me. As of now, yes, they have started something. They're clearly recognizing his talent finally.
Yeah.
I don't know why it took so long for Vince McMahon to be like, hey, this guy, we actually can use him for something.
He's been put in different spots to be potentially over, but I don't know. Something rubbed him wrong. It could have been he sneezed in a conference room.
Yeah,
Honestly,
who
that's
knows?
all it takes sometimes.
Yep.
But the one wrestler we did not.
Pal, what are you sick, pal?
Are you sick? Do you got
What are you-
AIDS? Get away from me. One of the wrestlers of the year, my pick for wrestler of the year, is on the hottest run of his entire hottest run in my opinion of anybody in the year, and that we didn't mention yet is Josh Alexander.
Josh Alexander.
It's the Impact champion.
He's
came
closing in on the longest ever Impact title reign, isn't he?
Correct. Yep. Bully Ray is attempting to stop it. Bully Ray's even mentioned, like, I will defend Robert Roode's title run, he said on air, because he was a part of Abs and Calves when they were together. So Robert Roode's going to retain and keep his longest reign ever because he's going to beat him in January at January 13th, Friday the 13th, at Hard to Kill. But we'll see. I think that Josh Alexander's had a fucking spectacular run. He's constantly defending his championship on TV for free. He does it on every pay-per-view as well. That's weird. The defense that he had a couple weeks ago against Mike Bailey, Speedball Mike Bailey, wound up turning into an hour-long match. And it was not advertised as an Iron Man match. It just went 59 minutes. So it was a one-fall match. He finally pins him at 59 minutes, 35 seconds or whatever it was right at the end. And it literally was on free TV. So a half of an entire episode unadvertised for free on TV. He's gone over Kaz. He's gone over Moose. He's gone over Sami Callihan. He's gone over Eric Young. I think that Eddie Edwards at Bound for Glory. The entirety of what was at the time the Honor No More faction. So he's fought PCO. He's fought Mike Bennett. He's fought a lot of those guys. Like, I love his run. The biggest obstacle that he got over to win the championship was in April. So this is his second run as champion, and that was against Moose. I do think it's going to come full circle again, and he's going to wind up feuding with Moose again, because Moose, I think, is his best challenger. I think the things that they were able to do in the ring reminds me, oddly, of the Kevin Steen versus Big Mike. What's his name? Big Mike Elgin.
Oh, Michael
Elgin.
Oh.
Big Mike Elgin and Kevin Owens, because they're both bigger guys that could really bounce around the ring like freaking lightweights, and they would look like, cruiserweights jumping around doing superplexes, all crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Moose is 6'6" or 6'7", huge guy. Josh Alexander's small, but the way that they put it together was the match honestly looked similar to those kind of matches, or like Cesaro picking up Big Show and just slamming him. Like how is this possible? Like, that's the kind of look that they had, because Moose is obviously bigger, faster, younger, stronger, like all these things. But like Alexander was still able to do the Styles Clash, still able to do angle slams, superplexes, like all this stuff to him. The C4 spike, which is terrifying. It's a double underhook pile driver. I think it's scary every time I watch it because Moose is so big. I think those were some of the best. That could have been match of the year candidates for myself as well. I loved all of Alexander's matches during his world title reign. So that's my pick for wrestler of the year, because I think there's the best storyline there and it's the most consistency. I love Roman Reigns' run as a world champion, but he's wrestling once a quarter.
Well, right, but you're saying that you really would put Josh Alexander's year over Chris Jericho's year,
Easily, yeah.
over Jamie Hayter's year.
Very much so easily, yeah.
Wow.
I'm not. I love the idea of Jamie Hayter getting like the recognition from you that you're like, this could be wrestler of the year because it's obvious the crowd likes her. But
It's nothing to do with that, Josh. She literally transformed herself as a performer in front of our eyes. She went from somebody who literally was I'm saying like not just me, but many
sure.
like the entire audience I imagine was like she's
the best of this.
Who is this person? Why did they bring her here? She just suddenly popped up and she was Britt Baker and Rebel's friend in 2021 and
Sure.
you're like, who the heck is this person?
Yeah.
From the beginning of this year to now, she has established herself as probably the best female wrestler they have. I'm not joking. The match she
AEW is
had,
full of awkward talent.
that's
in
what
the
I
women's
mean.
division. So that's
what I
not
mean.
an argument.
But,
I
but
agree.
they're getting better. Sheeta is coming along as a
Sheeta's
force
great.
in her own. They had a
Yeah.
great match.
Yeah.
Her and Jamie probably have one of the best matches AEW has ever put on for their women.
Wow. Okay.
Right, Britt is, in my opinion, she's fallen off. I'm over Britt.
Sure.
I'm over Saraya, but of course they're going to do something with
I
her.
can't stand that. I don't understand why she's there, but sure.
Well, she's there because she can be, right?
I guess,
she
because
can
Tony's an
wrestle
idiot.
now.
Throwing his
Because
money
Tony
away.
likes to bring in people, and apparently
He's never watched WCW
whatever.
or
It just
TNA.
is what it is.
How they
But
fail.
you know
Anyway.
what? Tony's investments in certain people, like Moxley, like Jamie, like Chris Jericho, have paid off big time. These are people who have they've
You
continued
name 3
to
people.
perform.
There's at least 50 bad investments that could be argued and brought up.
Okay, but
Sure.
Danielson is also not a bad
Sure.
investment, right? There
Yep.
are a lot of people who have been good investments.
Yep.
What I'm saying is these people have it's paid off. I think that they have been granted they're working on probably the most effective platform for getting new stars over.
Sure.
WWE is not getting people over right now.
No, they're not.
I don't know why. They're finally now featuring new people, but they're not getting any of those people over.
No.
Hit Row is not getting over.
Oh, God, no.
Good Lord. Oh, my
Jesus,
God.
they're terrible.
Oh.
They were brought back and they should have been.
Emma. Oh, my God. We brought
Terrible.
back Emma. Why?
Yeah.
What was the point? That's not getting over.
Yeah.
But
Bray Wyatt could be in that argument as well.
But
I was so
oh, yeah,
excited. I'm like,
good
this is so
Lord.
great. And now it's
Oh,
just
my
back.
God, no, it's
the
terrible.
same shit.
It was going to be.
We've not even mentioned him because the initial
was so
return was hot,
Oh, my
but it
God.
lasted 2 weeks.
Lasted 2 weeks.
And that's what
then
we
now,
worried.
And now they're like, and now it's LA Knight.
Oh my god.
my God.
Yeah. We worried about that at the beginning of the year with Cody Rhodes because we're like, it's new and it's exciting, but what happens 3 weeks from now on Raw when we're like, okay, it's another Cody Rhodes promo? Well, guess what? Our lucky stars our wishes were granted because 3 or 4 months later, we were still excited about Cody Rhodes. Bray Wyatt is a 2-week splash. The return was just like AEW bringing in somebody
Well, and
new.
now it's like,
it's
oh,
fucking terrible.
now you've taken Vince McMahon's lens off it. Apparently, it's Vince Russo all over again.
It's terrible.
It's like worse
It's
than it's
terrible.
ever been. And you're like, who's Uncle Howdy?
Yeah.
Why is there an Uncle Howdy? Why is there a separate person now?
Would you
There's
like Uncle
apparently
Howdy to
Uncle
be somebody? Like
Right,
someone-
Yeah. Well, apparently it is. Apparently it is somebody because
Would you like it
Bray
to be
Wyatt
someone?
and Uncle Howdy have appeared on screen at the same time physically.
I know.
And they were in different locations, Joshua. They were
in the arena.
in the arena.
So it's actually somebody. So would you like it? Would you like it to be someone?
No, I don't. I don't want it to be anything. I want him to be fired again. That would be my preference.
I wish he had gone somewhere to do something and just wrestle.
My wrestler of the year is Bray Wyatt. No,
biggest letdown of the year could be Bray Wyatt.
my wrestler of the
Honestly.
year. Excuse me. My wrestler of the year, Chris Jericho, is pretty close,
But
but I'm probably going to give it to Moxley.
I can see
I
Moxley.
think he has had the most consistent year.
Yep.
He has stepped up when they needed him to step up, especially when they've had freaking oh, I'm old and I'm tired and I'm working with children.
Yeah,
you
fuck
are
that.
the child.
yeah, Moxley has not only been good in storyline, he's been at the best of his game, in my opinion, in his career in ring. He's also been fantastic on promos, being very much so from the heart on his promos. After coming back from a comeback at the end of 2021, early 2022, and also like bailing the fucking company out. Like they were ready to move on with CM Punk as the guy and give Moxley the summer off to go on vacation with his wife, which is all he wanted to do. And Tony's like, "Oh shit! So hey, we fucked
Remember,
up.
CM Punk went crazy.
He's hurt and he can't wrestle and he sucks and so we're gonna bring you back, but it's only for a little bit because we're gonna have Punk go over you. Is that cool? Oh sure. oh, hey, sorry, now he's really fucking crazy, and we don't have any way of fixing this unless you come and bail us out again. And he did. And so I gotcha. Moxley is my pick too for Wrestler of the Year. I think for that reason, storyline, in-ring work, if you're gonna tick every single box, it's perfect, and it's also in the mainstream with a higher ratings. It's the pick. Moxley's gonna be it, which is weird for me because I don't know if I would ever pick Moxley before this year. Ever.
No, I wouldn't have either.
'Cause
Well,
last year
no,
would be-
I thought 2020. He had a great 2020. Even the pandemic wrestling
I'd
year
still
was
say-
his year. I mean, he was champion that entire year.
No, he wasn't. Omega was.
No, he.
Omega won the
What am I
world
thinking?
title.
29. No, I'm thinking 2020. Omega won the world title at the end of 2020.
No,
it
he
was
didn't.
yes, he did. It was Moxley won the belt at the beginning of the year from Jericho.
Omega had the world championship of AEW
Yes.
at Slammiversary and beat Sami Callihan for the Impact World.
No,
title. Oh no,
he did
Rich
not.
Swann. Rich Swann. Sorry.
Yes,
It was-
but that
no.
was in 2021.
No, it
Joshua.
wasn't.
Yes, it was. It was in 2021.
Oh, maybe it was.
It was.
Wow,
I
that
promise.
was. Oh yeah, yeah,
It
you're
was.
right.
The
you're right.
belt collector thing was just
Oh, that was
last
Omega.
year. Yeah,
I
that was
guess that's
Omega.
true.
It was the
So 2020, huh?
Moxley's world title run featured. He had the Lance Archer defense.
Yeah,
on
yeah,
TV.
yep.
He had the Brody Lee match on pay per view, which was awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
He had the MJF defense at All Out that year.
Well, I can't think back that far, Zach. I'm sorry.
In 2020,
2021 would be Kenny Omega for me.
Yeah,
That's what I was
well,
thinking.
yes,
Was
20,
Jesus.
but yeah. So I would have given 2020 to Moxley probably just because of how well he did in that pandemic era of wrestling. But this year he definitely stepped it up, and I saw him live a couple of times.
Yeah.
Saw him, and even
At
for other companies,
Windy
even
City
for
Riot.
NJPW, right?
Yeah.
And then he went and did write a tour with them and gave them a pop for a couple of towns. So hey.
Hey.
He's the MVP, the rear ender,
The rear ender
wrestler
of the year, wrestler of the year. All right, well,
the
that's
tag team of the year.
tag team of the year.
Motor City Machine Guns, who made appearances in
New Japan,
mostly
AEW,
Impact,
and
but
Impact.
also New Japan and AEW.
They had a 2-time World Tag Team run this year,
Yes, they
which
did.
puts them up to 4 total in Impact. Seems crazy to think that just 4, but they really like their run as Motor City Machine Guns was largely like from 2009, maybe 2010 to like 2012, and that's it. Because Alex Shelley wound up going to New Japan and becoming part of the Time Splitters with what's his name?
Kushida.
Kushida. That's
Yeah.
it, Kushida. And I believe that the Time Splitters and Kushida, Alex Shelley,
Kushida.
their tag team reign was far longer than Motor City Machine Guns. They were that tag team until Kushida won like some singles gold in NJPW and then went to WWE.
Oh wow.
And that was like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. So like Alex Shelley's been floundering about. He has a wrestling school in the States. Maybe it's Canada. I can't remember where exactly. And there's been a few things. Or no, it's in Detroit. Duh. But there's a few stints here and there.
Motor City.
But when they returned officially in 2020 at Slammiversary, Alex Shelley's been very much so a large part of the show. There's been a couple of single stints here and there, but Motor City Machine Guns for the last 2 years are pretty much a monthly appearance pay-per-view. And like consistency-wise, this year they are 2-time tag champs. They've had feuds with the Good Brothers. They've had feuds with the Briscoes. They've had feuds with Rhino and Heath. They've had feuds with... They're currently feuding with Rhino and Heath. They've had feuds with Aussie Open. They have tag championship matches against them, which they wound up becoming New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong tag champs right now.
Yeah,
And then,
that's true.
so that's my pick. I love the Usos too. And I love FTR. And I love Acclaimed. And I love Aussie Open. I just went through the whole list. But I can't argue against Motor City Machine Guns. I think they've done the most in a year. And they've had the most consistent, fantastic matches.
Okay. I mean, I have not seen nearly as much of their work this year, so I really can't speak to it. I saw a little bit of them in AEW this year. They were okay.
That was not a great
there.
match. I was not happy with that
Motor
one.
City Machine Guns. They
It was so pointless.
I out of the. I mean, I'm willing to let you have this one. I don't think I feel super strongly about it. I do think that the Acclaimed
Ooh.
have had. I mean,
It's such a good year.
the thing is, I don't know, man. I picked this. I called this years ago. I said these guys are stars.
Yeah.
Put-
I
put the
said that
belts on
too.
them.
I
And
became
they-
a huge mark for
Yeah.
their freaking Raps openings
Yeah,
and
it was
everything. I
great.
loved it.
It was great.
Even when they were
I
geeks.
Loved it in 2020. Exactly.
And they just
So-
came out and got their asses kicked by Moxley and Eddie Kingston or
and
whatever
they-
it was.
they
And it was
put
like,
Caster in the Face of the Revolution ladder match
Yep.
by himself in 2021. And that's when I knew, okay, so they also like them. Like
Yeah.
Tony obviously likes them enough to put one half of them in this ladder match because he just wants to feature them on TV somewhere. He
Yeah.
wants to feature the act.
Yep.
And one of them is hurt, so let's get the other guy on TV.
Yep.
And that, right, they've done everything that they could with the opportunities they've been given. The fans caught on to it. The scissor
Yeah.
me thing, people like that.
Scissor me is ridiculous.
People
I
like
can't
that.
believe that.
People like
The
it.
people seem to like it.
The people liked it when I did it as well. I've scissored many a time.
I'm sure you have.
I've scissored many a time and many a victim as well. In the Trump trailer.
Hey, just scissor me Sid Vicious should not become a shirt.
Ugh.
Sorry. Anyway, so
I'll give you Motor City Machine Guns if you feel compared to the competition that they truly had the best year of any of the
I think a good-
the entrants. Then I mean, like I think FTR had a good year if they had won the World Tag Team titles. Obviously, they're the winners.
Weirdly,
but
they
didn't.
never did. Yeah.
They never did.
They won
because
tag team championships, but they
I
never
think
won
it's
that one.
because they're friends. Okay.
Friends with CM Punk.
The thing is,
Best
he's
friends.
setting himself up. They're setting themselves up as these like, oh yeah, we're friends with Punk. Like we're
Yeah.
still friends with Punk
Yeah.
to this day. Okay, that means you're drawing your line.
Yeah.
Like you're making it clear what side you're on. Brett versus Sean.
Yeah.
Punk versus Matt and Nick Jackson. It seems.
Yeah.
It seems that's the biggest divide, right?
Yeah, it's
Obviously,
weird.
they're gonna be anti Matt and Nick Jackson, which they have been for years. So let's not
Yeah.
pretend that. Let's also not pretend that they didn't take the fact that the Young Bucks are the only 2-time World Tag Team Champions in AEW history to date, and the fact that they were allowed to beat the Young Bucks, but only for the ROH Tag Team
Yeah.
titles, and
Yeah.
not the AEW World Tag
Right.
Team titles. It's like, that they're keeping these tallies in their heads. This is not over.
Yeah.
And after these guys are, because it's clear now, all the belts are being taken away from
Yeah.
them. They've had the match for the World Tag Team titles because Tony is like, okay, it's clear. I'm not re-signing them. They're going to go somewhere else, or they're going to do their own thing for a year. And they're also going to talk shit about us. So you
Yeah.
know what? They're going to put everybody over on the way out.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's how it's going to go.
Yep.
And then they're going to complain about that too. You're going to hear, let me tell you what, Tony Khan, man, we work for you. We work for you. Just book us. How about you don't stab everybody in the back or make yourself a publicly known ally of somebody who undermined the legitimacy of this company in
Yeah.
a way that nobody ever has.
Yeah.
How about that? I don't know.
I do think there's a good argument for FTR, specifically with the matches that they have under their belts. I think it's hard to argue against some of the FTR matches, whether it was against.
I mean, yes, they're incredible.
Whether it was against the Lucha Brothers, whether it was against the Elite, whether it was against the Briscoes, especially.
Yes.
There's plenty of people that you could put FTR. Maybe they would even have the best tag team matches of the year. There's very good potential over any of these guys, potentially. Usos probably have the weakest matches out of every one of them.
Yeah.
But they're so good. And the character development of those two this year, awesome. Like,
Right.
I actually like the Usos now. I can actually fucking tell them apart. That's not to be mean, but they're twin brothers, so it's kind of hard.
Well,
But,
it
like,
was hard for a long time.
but now they actually have personality and characters, and it's just like, god damn, the Bloodline storyline is so good. But it's either Motor City Machine Guns or Acclaimed for me. I think Acclaimed are the most over as a tag team. I
Yeah.
think they're huge right now, and they did that organically on their own, and Tony Khan could not deny it anymore, and that's how they got to that level, in my opinion. Aussie Open, spectacular matches, really good shit on New Japan Pro Wrestling, but I don't think they could be considered the tag team of the year. They'd be my number 5 of this list if I was doing a top 5.
Oh, right. I mean, I think they deserve to be mentioned.
Sure.
That's kind of why I wanted.
I can't
to
believe the
mention
Briscoes
them.
aren't on this list, but hey.
Well, they don't wrestle on TV anywhere, and they don't wrestle consistently. Not nearly
They had
as
a three-
consistently
exactly,
as the rest
any
of
of
the
these
teams that are
guys.
being
Sure.
nominated. Okay,
Sure,
they
yep.
yes, you're right. They had 3 of the best tag team matches of the
Yeah,
year.
right.
But those were like the only matches they had all year. So
Outside of their like 4 or 5 month stint in Impact, yes.
Right.
Agreed. Yep. So I think that would be my pick. Would be Motor City Machine Guns. I think they'd have a fantastic year.
All right.
It could be even considered a comeback
do
of the
you
year.
hear that, Alex Shelley and Christopher Sabin? You are
The
the
Rear
Rear
End
Enders
Rewards.
Tag Team of the Year.
That's right.
Comeback of the year. Let's go quick.
The next category is
Cody
comeback of the year.
Rhodes. Chody Loads.
Chody
We
Loads.
got Kenny Omega coming back on his wayward son path.
Yep.
Jeff Jarrett in
Jeff
a
Jarrett.
little bit of a joke nomination, but Jeff Jarrett nonetheless.
He's in great shape for a guy his age. I mean, fuck, he looks as good as he did 10, 15 years ago.
Hunter Hearst Helmsley,
That's the
who did no, that's not a joke. He did
That's a
return.
joke, brother.
He came back to the pro wrestling world as creative control of WWE.
Yeah.
Alex Shelley having a career resurgence, a comeback of the year, even though he had not really gone anywhere per se.
True.
And
I love Alex
finally,
Shelley's run.
the Briscoes.
And there's the
we've talked
Briscoes,
about
comeback of the
briefly
year.
as well. I personally,
Can you narrow it down to 2?
Cody Rhodes or Triple H.
Really?
Yep, and Cody Rhodes is number 1. That's it.
Well-
I'm pretty.
You're pretty big on the Triple H thing.
You will have to talk me off the Cody Rhodes ledge for this one. I don't think that there's
The
a return.
fact-
I love Kenny Omega.
Okay.
But Kenny Omega was not brought back as Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega was brought back as the third part of the trio of the Elite.
Sure,
which
but
is
when
how
we-
he has been presented and how
when
on
we got
TV to that
when
to this
we
point.
got the third person in the trio of Elite, we got the full Kenny Omega though. We've got Kenny Omega, we got Don Callis, we got all the ridiculousness
Yeah, you're right.
of the Elite that
You're
comes
right.
along with it.
You're
That has
right.
been a majorly huge missing part of of AEW this year because AEW without Kenny Omega just felt weird for most
You're
of
right.
the year.
You're right.
And Kenny Omega immediately changed the landscape of what that show is like, headlining a show in a Trios Championship, disappearing again for another month, and now coming back
That's
and
the
headlining
thing,
the show.
and it was cut off. If it wasn't for the
I'm
immediate
actually-
halt, if we were allowed to see
I-
how that trios title would
Sure.
have been allowed to play out for that first month or
Sure.
two, maybe we'd have a different case here. But
But-
because of the circumstances that did wind up unfolding around Kenny Omega's return, I don't think he's the comeback of the year because Cody's return was too picture perfect.
It was
it's too
until
hard
he
to
got
compare.
hurt and literally sat out the last 9
he
months
had
of the year.
But he had months. It wasn't 9 months. It was 6. It was only the last 6. It was June when he got hurt. Okay, so he wrestled at WrestleMania in April.
He's had a trio
the
of matches
pay-per-view
against
match
Seth
in May,
Rollins in a
had
new
the
company.
pay-per-view match in
That's
June.
not comeback of the year. That's a trio of matches against Seth Rollins.
Well,
and
it is.
squashing-
No, he was on Raw every week.
Sure, but Kenny Omega's, and this is the thing, I would argue against Kenny Omega and the halt, right? Because you had said like if it wouldn't have been halted, then we can have an argument. I'm actually thankful for the halt because I think Kenny Omega came back slightly too early. I think him coming out with the entire suit on and
No,
the,
that was
the,
on purpose.
the pressure
he was
shirt.
100% healthy the whole time.
Was he?
Yes, that was the widely believed. The widely believed,
But maybe
story
potentially not factual
is
because as soon
maybe
as the
potentially, but probably not because Kenny was 100%. He was not taking it easy through any of his
Oh,
matches.
no, he
even
absolutely
the
was
one,
not.
Even the one that he came and he was all taped up. It was just for show. It was to make us believe that he was in worse
well,
shape
I'm
than
a
he
believer
was,
then because
and he
ever
was
since
always
the
ready to
halt
go.
ended and they were all allowed to come back and be a part of it, and the only thing they've done since this return is fought the Death Triangle, which I get. But like he has come back and he looks leaner, he looks stronger, he looks in perfect
that's
shape.
'cause he's getting
There's
ready for the dome.
there's no
It's
tape.
different.
I hope so, yeah. But like
Well, it's
and
not. I
that's gonna-
hope so.
that's
It,
gonna
he
be
is.
spectacular.
He's getting ready for the dome.
You
It's-
think that's what his main goal is to look great in the
Of
dome
course.
against Will Ospreay?
Of course.
Not represent his own company that he has so much stock in. I think he's a little more focused on AEW than he is on New Japan.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You are saying this for a joke.
So wait,
right?
you think that
The
Cody-
Tokyo Dome is his.
that's WrestleMania?
That's his WrestleMania. That is his return to his real home.
But he could have continued to be a part of Wrestle Kingdom every year if he wanted to. He has chosen
No, it wasn't
to be a
his-
part of
it was
AEW.
political at the time. The people who owned New Japan at the time did not like him and the Bucks leaving to do what they were doing.
Oh.
So that's why New Japan and AEW did not clash there at the beginning.
So you're arguing
did
against
not
you
mesh
would
there.
still put Cody Rhodes and Triple H above Kenny Omega, who's returning not only to AEW to be a part of a trios matches and all this stuff, but building himself back up to being
That match
one
is
of the
taking place in
biggest.
2023.
Doesn't matter. That's still
It does
coming,
matter. We're talking
coming
about the
back
rear
to it.
enders of 2022.
It's-
If we're just talking about 2022, Cody Rhodes is the bigger return.
It's
It was
not.
the bigger story
not.
of him leaving to AEW. It was the bigger return coming back to WWE, literally breathing life into a dead fish. The WWE was dead.
still
completely dead cold.
We
Roman
didn't-
sitting there with both belts because they literally had no other ideas. That's where we are.
And he came back, and guess what?
What?
Roman still's holding the 2 goddamn
I
belts.
know because Cody got hurt.
I
But if
don't
Cody
think that
hadn't
would have
gotten
changed.
hurt,
I
it
don't
would
think
have
that would have changed. I
He
doubt
would
it.
have took
I
a belt
doubt
in
it.
SummerSlam.
I
almost
doubt it
guarantee.
because no, I doubt it because we didn't know when Kenny Omega lost the championship. He lost the Impact Championship to Christian, then he lost the world title
Okay.
to Hangman.
I can't believe
We didn't know.
I'll give it to Kenny Omega.
We
If you're
didn't
gonna
know.
die on the hill, I'll give it to
No,
Kenny Omega.
we didn't
I want
know.
the conversation to be over.
Oh, wow.
I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Oh my God.
If
fucking guy.
Cody Rhodes,
We didn't
I also
know.
we're running out of time. If Cody Rhodes
didn't know.
if he's not your guy, if you don't want him to win it,
Not for a trio
that's
of
fine.
matches. We got Kenny Omega. We did not know.
Comeback. It's not wrestler of the year. It's comeback of the year. You're telling me that wasn't the most newsworthy, the most monumental comeback in the entire wrestling world this year?
Probably not. I would honestly say Kenny Omega would be number 1, then probably Cody Rhodes, then probably
Okay.
Jesus, I don't know.
Well, then
Maybe
I'll give
Triple
it to
H.
Kenny. You know what I mean?
We
I'm
didn't-
not. I'm
can I
not.
finish
I'm not
this one
complaining
thought?
about Kenny.
We didn't. I said that 100 times already. We never, ever knew if we would ever see Kenny Omega in the ring again.
Yeah.
We knew for a fact that we would see Cody Rhodes somewhere. And yes, he did
Yes.
appear on the biggest stage of the year. We never knew for sure because not only did he disappear off TV altogether, he had issues with vertigo. He had issues with migraines. He had all these issues. Working through all of these mental issues. This isn't like 1999 again or before head condition protocols and all this, etc. Like we honest to God never knew Kenny Omega would be back again. Like for sure. That was very much so it's week to week. And if I keep having these setbacks, I don't know if I'm ever going to work again. And when they officially announced Kenny Omega's back, and maybe that's just a personal thing with me, I think that's the comeback of the year because it's probably the most important thing is man's mental health being able to work again.
Yeah.
And so that was big to me. And sure, it got shit on because of the CM Punk storyline and fucking CM Punk's buddy bites Kenny Omega and Kenny Omega is doing something with a dog. And yeah, there's all sorts of bullshit in the background. I still think now the fact that we have Kenny Omega back in AEW and he's going to be working and potentially who knows what the end of this trio's best of 7 series is going to end up being. Maybe he will ever be a 3-person tag team and that's all he's going to be able to do other than Wrestle Kingdom. But like maybe that's all we're going to ever get. But even that to me feels like this is like fucking, I don't know, a sports athlete who is like, you're never going to play again. And the next year he's MVP. Like,
Oh, right.
Holy shit, you are still this good. I love Cody's return. It would be,
But we
it
knew
would
that
be
he was. I guess I always knew he was. I
didn't know
I
that.
never had any legitimate.
that Kenny Omega would ever be a part. I never knew he was going to bump.
Look,
I never knew
thought about
vertigo
it.
and migraines. You should never bump again.
Well, sure, but,
Ever.
But he had been doing it for years. That's why
Yeah,
I think
that's
he
scary.
there may have been some of it that's embellished for a pro wrestling storyline from a worker. I'm just saying
Sure.
it's possible.
But
But overall, I believe that yes, it was not a good situation for him. He was dealing with a lot of different injuries
Yeah.
that all added up to being a terrible situation that he had to heal from. And I'm not saying that he's not the best in the world, that he's not one of my favorite wrestlers, and that if hopefully his year of 2023 there will be no doubt who the wrestler of the year is, right?
Sure.
Kenny Omega. Absolutely. I want him to start off with a banger of a match against Ospreay. He doesn't even have to win the match.
No. I kinda hope he loses, actually,
He
but yeah.
probably will do the job. You do the job to Ospreay back in your home company, and then come back over to AEW, do the trio thing, drop the trios titles, maybe go for another singles run. But who even knows how much time he has left on this deal? I think
know.
the rumor is that
Him
that
and the
it's
Bucks are all
not
up in a
long.
year or
It's
two.
not long,
Yeah.
right? And well, no, the Bucks is I think a little bit longer, but his wasn't going to be this long, but then it's extended because of the injury time or something. Like he already would have had to have signed a new deal, I think, allegedly. But
I do think the Cody and Omega comebacks
well,
of both of them
because there will be
is,
a market for him.
is very similar.
WWE will want him.
Yeah.
They will.
Both of those comebacks are very similar though because they both had executive, vice president, executive, whatever positions in a big company, and if neither of them ever wanted to wrestle again, they both could have said, "We don't need to wrestle
But
again.
they
We're
want
going exactly. We want to be a part of this." And for Kenny Omega having that position and being hurt and being like, you really could potentially not wrestle anymore, and you'd be healthy. You could do all the things you want to do. You want to do game conventions. You want to do Street Fighter tournaments. He wants to do like Redcon. He wants to do all these big things that he's a big part of his life. Living in Japan, doing stuff over there. Developing this fucking game, being a big part of the AEW Fight Forever game. Like he's genuinely one of the biggest producers of it. Like there's a lot of work that he can do outside of the ring and not have to wrestle anymore. And honestly, the wrestling stuff might put a hamper on all those other things, because if he gets another head injury, coming back from that's going to be scary. So like there was genuine doubt within me that we would ever see a Kenny Omega match again. And I think everyone should feel very fortunate that we even have Kenny Omega matches now. So that's the big thing, is like every time he's in the ring, I will watch, because I don't know when it's going to be the next time. There's nothing guaranteed, which is why I kind of think the Death Triangle are going to win the rest of this best of
The
seven.
last one,
and
the
last
last
one, and
match.
then that'll be the end of it. And then they can go on to doing whatever with whatever. And then the Elite can do whatever they want to do, but maybe they won't. Maybe they'll wind up being tag champs, and who knows. But like, yeah, I think that I love the Kenny Omega, or I love the Cody Rhodes story. But honestly, if he comes back in 2023, when he comes back, I should say, and then wrestles again and gets to the promised land, world champion finally, headline at WrestleMania, we'll see. That could almost be comeback of 2023 because of the pectoral injury. Like,
Oh, right. Yeah, I suppose you're right.
I think
You could just see it as a tease, as a taste of what is to come in a way. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I would.
Do you want to just do
did
co
not.
comebacks
No,
of the year?
nope. I'm fine with giving it to Kenny Omega. Like I said, I'm not. I don't think it's a bad argument. I'm not even saying that it's the wrong choice. I'm just saying I personally didn't see how Cody couldn't win it. But I understand where you're coming from, and I'm willing to give it to Kenny. So, Kenny Omega, the comeback of the year, the rear ender for 2022, and then finally here.
Oh shit, that's right. Promotion
real
of the year.
quick, the promotion of the year.
Let's just give it to Impact.
So WWE, AEW, NJPW, Impact Wrestling. Those are obviously the big four in the U.S. here. GCW making a big name for itself this year, having
why not
Matt
Pro Wrest-
Cardona helping them out a lot.
Yeah. Why
John
not-
Moxley helping them out a lot.
Eddie Kingston's there. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a lot of good stuff. GCW is like the higher end indie fed, where it's like you want to go to GCW, you want to be a big part of a freaking crazy show that everyone will be talking about for about 24 hours. Go to GCW.
They have quieted down though, haven't they?
They have.
I
It
don't
hasn't
know
been
what's-
as big.
I don't know what's
Well,
been
I
going
think
on
it's
there.
Tony is kind of tightened the grip on letting his guys go.
That
to work.
is
And
true.
so like GCW's been headlined by weirdos. I mean, not weirdos, but like very, very undercard people. I think Cardona's run in GCW was fantastic.
Well, did
Like,
you
it's
see
so good.
Cardona started to wear the old ECW belt?
Did he?
The old silver one.
Oh, Jesus.
Like the
Like the
Mark,
WWE?
the Mark Henry, Matt Hardy.
Oh my God, that's great.
Christian, big old ugly ECW Phoenix
I didn't hate
belt.
that belt.
The bird
I
belt,
thought it looked-
Firebird belt.
Yeah, I thought it looked great on Mark Henry. Weirdly.
Yes.
Weirdly,
It was
I
like the
loved that
only guy
one.
that it looked good on ever because
Yeah.
it was
It
big
was
enough
big,
for his
it's
body.
humongous,
But
yeah.
the rest of everybody else.
Jericho's
right.
like, "Here's my
Cardona
belt."
looks weird with it. He wears it. He wears
Weird.
he's had images on his Instagram from recent matches that he's done where he's wearing his Zack Ryder one-legged tights
Oh wow.
and the ECW championship, claiming himself to be the ECW World Heavyweight Champion.
Huh.
So
Promotion of
just
the year.
keep
I
an
don't
eye
know.
out on that. I don't know. Promotion of the year. I think WWE has done a tremendous job of recouping and of recouping their public image and their wrestling image at the end of this year. The recovery job that they have done in the last 4 months since August, when they had to get the machine rolling to clean up the Vince McMahon mess.
Yeah, true.
that should have been cleaned up 2 months before that.
Yeah.
And wasn't. They'd
Yeah.
probably been trying to internally pressure him to step down for
Yeah.
months at that point, and he just wasn't doing it.
Right.
And then he finally did it. Thank God. So
Yeah.
they really have. I mean, AEW has almost survived despite itself.
Yeah.
Like the booking has been fucking terrible.
For the most part, it's really weird. They're not very consistent, and obviously, if what's going on backstage has been going on backstage, what we've been hearing about since basically the day Cody left, it's taken a step back. I liked 2020 and 2021 better than 2022 for AEW.
Yeah.
New Japan feels like it's going in the right direction in everything. Like the New Japan strong brand of theirs, they're kind of like their NXT / Impact size
Well,
type
their
shows.
American show. Right.
Yeah, it's been good, and it's been a really good, consistent wrestling show. Storyline wise, I couldn't tell you a fucking single thing that's going on there, but I know the wrestling's really good. And then their pay-per-views and stuff have been excellent all year. Building up to Wrestle Kingdom, which I know goes into 2023, has been very, very good and very, very consistent. And even though it feels like to me losing AJ, losing Prince Devitt, losing Kenny Omega, losing the Bucks, losing, they seem to like build up an American heel to go up against, and then they lose them. The Good Brothers leaving, all these things. Like, it's just like they keep losing people, but they somehow keep consistently building new stars. Will Ospreay, Jay White, Zack Sabre Jr., like these guys that we can relate with in a certain way of like, oh, they cheat to win once in a while. We like a good heel like this. The Bullet Club remaining relevant somehow. Like when Wrestle Kingdom happened last year, or even the beginning or middle of 2021, I was kind of like, AEW is better. Like AEW is a better way to view this wrestling stars because it's a little bit of WCW and it's a little bit of WWE and it's a little bit of New Japan and it's got that feel. It's got that Nitro feel with New Japan guys in it. And they had enough Japanese stars and they were starting to cross over things like that. I'm like, I don't know if I need to really watch New Japan anymore. And now guess what? You fucking better watch New Japan because it's the best wrestling of the year. Like,
it's good. They're already setting up for another
don't
major
know.
show. So I
my love for Impact. Impact is the most consistent show. They do a heavy dose of tapings so that they don't have a lot of surprises, and I think that's a benefit to them and also a disadvantage to them because there are very few surprises in Impact anymore.
I had him. I mean, granted, Kenny Omega did the Impact crossover thing last year, but even outside of that, I still felt like I heard Impact come up more in 2021.
Yeah.
I still felt like Moose, with his run with the belt and with Kenny getting involved with the belt, Rich Swann in that, in that whole thing,
Christian.
the whole TNA heavyweight championship thing where they had the original TNA belt back. Christian Cage getting involved on that with the switch on the episode of Rampage.
Yeah.
I felt like
great.
Impact had a lot more quote unquote going for it as a promotion last year.
Yep. So would you say that AEW and Impact have kind of taken a step backwards this year, whereas WWE and NJPW have taken a step forward? Seems like.
Are we forgetting about ROH?
Yes. Fuck
But
ROH. I have no
why?
interest in it.
But why?
Because there's no weekly television show. There's 4 pay-per-views.
There is going to be, right? That
doesn't count for this year at all.
Well, okay.
Maybe
so
there's
this
going to be.
year,
We assume there's going to be.
we had the
4
brand
shows.
being resurrected from the actual dead because it was dead.
Would you call WWE's purchase of ECW the resurrection of ECW?
I mean, it was.
I don't. It was a
technically
different
was
version
the
of it. It was
resurrection
not the
of it.
same.
Well, actually, no, I wouldn't because everything there was a subsidiary underneath of WWE. It had no identity of its own. In the identity that it did have, it wasn't allowed to have.
One Night Only was a WWE produced show.
I know that.
That was the best part of their purchase.
But when they started the
all they
brand,
should've done.
I'm saying the TV show,
That
right?
was-
The ECW TV show wasn't allowed to be ECW.
Right. Do
But
you think this will
This
be allowed to be
ROH,
Ring of Honor?
I believe that they've already shown with these 3 ROH pay-per-views.
Sure.
4, if you want to count that other one, but they're definitely the 3 that they have produced. That with those shows, you can say, if this is the flavor that it's a bigger budget Ring of Honor. They want to tell serious in-ring stories. They're trying still to go for that demographic. They're trying still, and Jericho raised the profile of their world championship this year, maybe larger than it's ever been. Right, if you want to be actually
Potentially.
technical about the numbers and like the exposure of the name Ring of Honor and the exposure of the image of the logo and the championship, they probably have had a better year as a brand this year than ever. But then
They've
there's
had more
the
pay-per-view
debate
buys. Their crowds are big. Yeah.
of the promotion. Are they
I
the
couldn't put
promotion
them-
of the
I
year?
couldn't put them
No.
above a single one of them.
Probably
Maybe
not.
above a GCW or MLW, but that's
So
it.
is it WWE? Do we have to
WWE
be?
is the
do we
most improved
actually
of the
have
year.
to? Well, because
It's gotten me
I
more
will
interested
admit,
than ever.
Yes, and I will admit, in their big spots this year, in their big mainstream crossover stuff, things have gone well for them. WrestleMania really went well.
Yeah.
The celebrity interactions that they have done this year, while they haven't been a ton, they've all gone a lot better. At
Yeah.
least better than the stupid Vince McMahon golden egg at the end of 2021.
Holy shit.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? It wasn't that
I
bad.
would say that it's obvious that WWE this year is better than WWE in the past, but does that make them better than AEW of this year?
I think AEW has stumbled on itself.
But are you
it was
consistently
AEW's
watching Raw and
to lose.
SmackDown
Yeah.
as much as you're watching Dynamite?
Well, okay, so
I definitely don't agree. Like
I'm watching
I can't,
clips. I'm not watching the show every week.
I
but
can't
that's
sit
different.
through 3 hours of Raw. No way. That would be
No,
a
I can't.
serious
But that's
challenge
not
for
their
me.
fault necessarily. I almost
their
think
product.
that they're. I know, but they're almost roped into that more than anything. It's the money.
Oh yeah. Well,
Like they can't possibly even everyone there, including Triple H, who's been very vocal about it. Everyone there knows 3 hours is not the way to go. They should not be producing any 3 hour one block of programming ever, and yet
Except
they
for
have been
pay-per-view,
doing
yeah.
it for over a decade because they get paid.
yeah, I know. Well, then they need to
They
make
make
those
a lot of
episodes.
money.
Well, I guess I don't know how to say that. I can't. I love the fact that WWE has gotten better, and I do. I really do. I mean, fuck, they had a lot of really fun things that kicked off right as soon as the new year started. Like it was good. Royal Rumble had Mickey James in it with an Impact Championship World Title on her shoulder. Like, what the hell's going on in WWE? Like, it was definitely a better year than I can think of for quite a while. I just don't think it's better than AEW, and I definitely don't think it's better than New Japan.
Wow. Okay.
The product's better than it's been, but it's still not. I would, if it's going to be Raw, Dynamite, or a fucking NJPW pay-per-view, or even a WrestleMania or whatever, I'm not going to say, yes, let's watch WWE over that. I
Well,
would never pick that over
right.
anything else.
I mean, that is true. Okay, fine. So if that is the case,
No, this is the debate. Like, I'm trying to express my feelings. I don't think, like, I'm agreeing WWE is better than it's been in a long time, but I don't think it's better than the other shows.
I mean, it doesn't have to be better than the other shows. We're talking about promotion of the year from every perspective, from every metric. In that case, I think that WWE, even from their own, like obviously everything in its own scale, right?
Sure.
How did the promotion, how did the brand grow compared to where it was perception-wise to where it is now? How did the brand grow? In my opinion, AEW did not grow.
No,
AEW,
it's not. It's gone downward.
well,
for sure.
I wouldn't say downward, but it definitely has remained the same. Like
I
in
think
a
it's
year,
taken
in a
step
year
back.
of 2022, when Punk was in theory going to be the person
Yeah.
that was going to be projecting them upward and onward
Yeah.
to this new era of AEW, right, where they were going to be legit competition to WWE
Yeah.
and get that big 18 to 45 or 18 to 49 demo
Yeah.
up over the number that they wanted it to be. This year they didn't do any of that.
No,
They took
zero.
all they proved to their TV
Yeah.
their TV partners, they proved that what they are delivering right now
Yeah.
is about what they are probably going to deliver all the time,
Yeah.
which is really unfortunate. Now, in my opinion, I don't think there's anything wrong. With
No,
what they've
no,
been doing.
definitely not.
I think that what they've been doing to the modern TV landscape is very respectable.
We're about to see a new Dynamite.
That's yeah, that looks
A new
terrible.
set.
Looks terrible in my opinion. The colors and the set that they've used so far, the lighting especially on these
Yeah.
promo shots, it's been awful. If this is what the show is going to look like,
Like
I'm
the
really
80s like
bad.
lasers.
Yeah, I'm
looks like-
really.
is it
not-
just gonna be
They
that-
took the gold out of the logo too.
Is
Did
it
you
going to
see
be
that?
the Impact logo? Or
It's
the
still
Impact?
called AEW, and it's still the same AEW logo, but they took the gold out of the.
Really?
Yeah, it's no longer a gold EW. It's
Really?
all white letters. Yep.
Oh, I did not realize that.
Yep, they took the gold out of the AEW.
I would agree if you're gonna go promotion of the year, the most improved in my opinion is WWE, and also they have Sami Zayn. So boom, I'll say promotion of the year is WWE.
There we go. Promotion of the year, Rear Ender 2022 is World Wrestling
That
Entertainment.
doesn't seem right, but
WWE. Triple H, you did it, man. You pulled the company out of a tailspin creatively into something that's at least palatable. It's not
least.
great yet. It may never be that way.
Sure. After all these years,
But it's at
Zach
least
still gets what he
palatable.
wants. He's a WWE mark, and we give it
Wow.
to the WWE.
All right. We're finally fucking done with this. Okay. Hey, everybody.
CM Punk.
Thanks for listening to
is the news of the
141.
year.
Yep, CM Punk Brawl Out is the rear ender for news of the year.
What did we say was match of the year? Oh yeah,
Match
Ospreay
of the
and
year
Okada.
is Ospreay and Okada at the G1 final. Wrestler of the year is
John
Jonathan
Moxley.
Moxley.
Tag
Team of the year is the Motor
Guns.
City Machine Guns for some reason. Comeback of the year is Kenneth J. Omega. I don't know where the J is coming from. And finally, promotion of the year, World Wrestling Entertainment.
I don't agree with a single one of these. Let's start from the top and argue this over again.
All right. You can
All right.
find us on Podomatic, Apple Podcasts, Facebook.com.
Pro Wrestling Off Topic. Just look us up. The RSS feed's right on our Facebook page. You can also look for us on the Twitterverse. I always have links to all of our new episodes on Twitter. Follow me at _ Joshua Turbo. Don't forget the underscore, as it is the most important underscore in all the world.
Oh, why don't you let me ever say that part?
I don't know.
You just throw it to me.
Just rattles out.
The most important underscore in all of the internet.
There it is. We'll see you guys for episode 142. Peace.
Ciao.
I know you're gonna dig this.
Blur, the shirts all soaked with sweat. He's riding hard to catch that herd, but he ain't caught him yet.